On Friday, April 9th, we have the moon in Pisces once again, but we'll be going void, of course, around 9 o'clock p.m., again, Atlantic Standard Time. So we do get the majority of the day still firmly planted in that Piscean energy. We are very much in the new moon in Aries window already. We have already had some powerful revelations earlier on in the week. And because the moon is going to be void, of course, not locking in into that Arian energy until early Saturday morning, we still have a lot of emotions to process. We have a lot of endings to visualize, and we have a lot of new beginnings to visualize as well. So the moon in Pisces is going to be sextiling Pluto, really focusing in on the death, the endings, the closing of doors, the endings of chapters. Why? So that we can rebirth ourselves. We can transform ourselves into a higher 2.0 version of ourselves. The moon will also be squaring Mars, giving us a very aggressive tenacity, a courage, a bravery that we need to initiate these new karmic cycles that are definitely unfolding in front of us, in front of our very, very eyes. At this point, our eyes should be wide open. We shouldn't just be using our third eye, aligning with our intuition. We should visually be able to see the beginning stages of new cycles actually forming. The moon will be conjunct Neptune as well. Of course, Neptune in its place of power in Pisces. When the moon conjuncts, which means sitting right next to Neptune in the cosmos, there is this overwhelming emotion that takes over. We are hypersensitive. Our intuitions are so strong that we can pick up on other people's energy. So we have to be very careful about acknowledging what is ours to own and to feel and what is not. These particular moon aspects all blending together is going to make for some very interesting mood swings. Again, we're in the new moon window. The new moon always kind of provokes not so nice feelings to arise to the surface for acknowledgement and for ending and closure. But because Mars is kind of involved here, along with Pluto, there is an aggressiveness that we have in our mood swings. The Neptune energy doesn't make things any better because we are likely to be triggered by external forces. Our voices in our heads are very loud. The chatter is very loud. And because of that, we have a lot of physical energy being built up. We are in Aries season, and that physical energy wants to kind of be used. And we would prefer to do it in healthy ways. So if you could engage your physical body in some kind of activity or exercise, that is the best way to do things. If you sit around and you do not use your body, you are likely going to feel that anger rising. You are going to be highly triggered, and you are going to want to feel like you want to lash out. Mars isn't making anything any easier because Mars continues to kind of square Neptune and does a dance with Chiron. So our wounds are being exposed here. This is why we are hypersensitive and overly sensitive to our external worlds, to the external chatter. But Mercury is making an aspect with Mars, which means our internal dialogue gets a little bit aggressive, borderline abusive. We are picking on ourselves. We are hypersensitive to ourselves. We are judgmental on ourselves. We are picking ourselves apart. Again, Mercury being fresh into Aries energy is aggressive. It's bold. It really does want to throw you around a little bit. It does want to bully you in a sense. And because Mercury and Mars are doing a dance, along with Mercury aspecting Uranus and Chiron and Jupiter, nonetheless, there's a whole bunch of a cocktail of energy, so to speak, that will really push you to your breaking point, first in your mental plane, and then second, of course, in your external world. My recommendation is that you pull back, that you pull inwards, that you really distance yourself from, people here today, because the want, need, and desire to lash out and to get all that frustration and anger outside of your body is going to be very strong. But yet our higher selves, our inner selves, the observer knows that we have to move inwards to see what it is that we have to feel in order for us to actually heal. The new moon in Aries is all kinds of aggressive. If you haven't downloaded your moon guide yet, I would definitely recommend you go do so. Not only are we moving into a time where new personal goals are being initiated, we have to learn how to handle the aggressive energy of Aries. And so a lot of the frustration, a lot of the triggers, a lot of the hypersensitivity is going to be very loud within us today for good reason. It wants to show us where the healing needs to take place. It wants to show us where the change is needed the most. So be very careful with yourself. Be very careful with your thoughts. Be very careful with your physical actions here today, as, you know, the inner blood within us is boiling to a point that could be very dangerous for ourselves and for other people.